All right, today we're diving into something that is hands down the secret sauce for any high-performing team, but it's also something that almost everyone gets wrong. We're talking about true accountability. And spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with blame or top-down orders. It's about a mindset, a shift that can completely change the game for your team. So, have you ever been in this situation? You look around and everyone on your team is working hard. I mean, they're all busy, putting in the hours, and yet, somehow, things still get missed. Deadlines slip, the ball gets dropped. It's super frustrating, right? Well, this usually happens because of a mix-up over what it really means to be accountable. To get to the bottom of this, we have to go back to basics. We need to get really, really clear on two words that we throw around all the time as if they're the same thing: accountability and responsibility. Trust me, in a team setting, they are worlds apart. Let's break it down.
Okay, first up, accountability. The key word here, the one I want you to remember, is outcome. Being accountable means you are answerable for the final result, the big picture. Did we win? Did we hit the target? Yes or no? It's that ultimate ownership of the end game. Now, let's switch gears to responsibility. See the difference? The focus here is on the task. Responsibility is about the work itself, the specific actions you're obligated to do. It's about being on the hook for your part of the job, for the doing. So when you put them side by side like this, it just clicks, doesn't it? Responsibility, the how, can absolutely be shared. You and I can both be responsible for different tasks on a project. But accountability for the overall outcome, the why, that can't be shared. It has to belong to one person. This is so important because when everyone is accountable, no one is. And that's when things fall apart. And this quote just nails it. It's blunt, but it's true. You can't be sort of accountable as a group. For any given outcome, one single person has to be the one to answer for it. So the big question is, how do you create a culture where people actually want to step up and take that on? Well, it all starts with leadership, but probably not the kind of leadership you're thinking of. We're not talking about the old school command and control style. Nope, the kind of culture where accountability thrives is built on something called servant leadership. It's all about enabling your team, not just directing them. You see, a servant leader's main job isn't to manage a bunch of tasks. It's to manage the environment so the team can succeed. They're focused on protecting the team from constant interruptions, clearing organizational roadblocks, and making sure everyone is fired up about the vision. It's a fundamental shift from being a director to being a facilitator. I love this image because it's the perfect metaphor for what we're talking about. The servant leader isn't in the middle of the road telling everyone how to lay each stone. Instead, they're out front, clearing the path, moving the big rocks out of the way, so the team has a clear run to get the job done and deliver amazing value. So when you have a leader who acts as a shield and clears the way, what happens next? Well, that approach directly fuels the real engine of accountability, which is an empowered team. You see, you can't just demand that people be accountable. You have to create the right conditions by giving them real ownership. So how do you actually do that? First, you build your team around their strengths. Then, and this is crucial, you actively support them as they take accountability for their tasks. You don't just assign work, you provide the resources, trust, and backup they need to succeed. Next, you have to evaluate how that's going, not by micromanaging, but by creating feedback loops so the team can see its own progress and learn. And finally, you have to do the big one. You give them real decision-making power over their work. And when you do all that, something really powerful happens. The team's mindset shifts. They stop thinking in terms of my job and start thinking in terms of our project. They develop this incredible sense of shared ownership. And even though one person is ultimately accountable for the outcome, the entire team is deeply invested in getting there together. Okay, but how do you know if this is actually working? How can you evaluate task accountability without creeping back into that micromanagement trap? The key is to make progress and performance totally visible, not just to you, but to the team itself. And let's be clear, this isn't about pointing fingers. These tools, things like performance assessments, KPIs, and visual charts, are there to give the team the information they need to manage themselves. They can track their own progress, spot problems early, and see for themselves how their work is making an impact. You know, the magic of something like a burn-down chart is its transparency. Anyone on the team can look at it and know, in a second, if they're on track. And that knowledge is power.
It lets them self-organize, have real conversations about what's working and what's not, and change course without having to wait for a manager's permission. That is accountability in action. So, if you take away just one thing from all this, let it be this. You don't assign accountability. You can't just put it on an org chart and expect it to happen. True accountability is the natural outcome of an environment built on a foundation of service, trust, and genuine empowerment. So I'll leave you with a challenge. Think about your team right now. What is one obstacle, one roadblock, one little annoyance that you can remove for them today? Because starting there, that's how you begin to build a culture of true accountability.